It is 6 o'clock, and I'd like to welcome you to tonight's Board of Commissioner meeting for Thursday, October 17, 2024. We're going to need to hurry up and get through with the meeting tonight because I think they're going to bring meat in and slaughter it in a few minutes. It's so cold in here. So we'll get through it as best we can. Tonight, I've asked our Assistant County Manager, John Gentry, to lead us in our invocation, and I've asked our Police Chief, Scott Ebner, if they'd lead us in the pledge. If you'd stand with us, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dear Lord, we do thank you for this gathering here this evening, dear Lord, and to do the people's business of Glynn County. I just pray, dear Lord, for these commissioners as they lead our community, the citizens that are here to participate in the rule of government, dear Lord. Just pray that you'll be with us and guide us, each and every one of us, as we go about the business of the community. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Facing the flag for pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This evening, we have the privilege of reading a proclamation designating Friends of Library Week for Glynn County. How many of our library friends do we have with us this evening? Thank you for being here. If you'll indulge me as I attempt to read, please don't give me a grade, and we'll read the proclamation. This is designating October 20 through 26, 2024 as Friends of the Library Week in Glynn County. Whereas Friends of the Brunswick-Glynn Library have been part of our community for over 50 years, raising money that enables our library to move from good to great, providing the resources for additional programming, much needed equipment, support for children's summer readings, and special events throughout the year. And whereas the work of the Friends highlights on an ongoing basis the fact that our library is the cornerstone of the community, providing opportunities for all to engage in the joy of lifelong learning and connect with the thoughts and ideas of others from ages past to present. And whereas the Friends understand the critical importance of well-funded libraries and advocate to ensure that our library gets the resources it needs to provide a wide variety of services to all ages, including access to print and electronic materials, along with expert assistance in research, readers advisory, and children's services. And whereas the Friends' gift of their time and commitment to the library sets an example for all in how volunteerism leads to positive civic engagement and the betterment of our community. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Glynn County Board of Commissioners that October 20 through 26 of 2024 as Friends of the Library Week in Glynn County, Georgia, and urges everyone to join the Friends of the Library and thank them for all that they do to make our library and community so much better. In witness thereof, I set my hand this 17th day of October, 2024. Thank you. If y'all will come forward, please.
Thank you all. Thank you.
And as someone who was deathly afraid to read in public without growing up, when you set your mind to something, you can certainly achieve it. Anyway, I want to thank y'all for being here, and on behalf of the Glynn County Board of Commissioners, we want to present this proclamation to you.
Thank you very much.
And thank y'all for being with us tonight.
You know, you may not believe it because there's only four, but there's actually about 50 people who are
That-
active.
Would any of you care to make any remark to our?
Invite you to our bookstore.
All right.
We have a bookstore, you said it all.
All right. All right.
Mr. Chairman. great boat captain, tremendous photographer, and a good wife.
Mr. Chairman, I move to defer item 3, 10, and 25 from the published agenda.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Rafalski to remove 3 items, 3, 10, and 25 from our published agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Commissioner Clark. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. That is unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, I move to add a motion to the published agenda, number 37. I move to add item number 37 to the published agenda to consider authorizing a letter to be sent to GDOT in support of its recommendations for improvements to the intersection of US 82 and Ratcliffe and Myers Hill Road.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Rafalski, a second by Commissioner Clark to add item number 37, considering a letter to GDOT. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. That is unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the consent agenda for general business with the exception of anything a commissioner wishes to pull.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Rafalski, a second by Commissioner Clark to approve the consent agenda general business. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. That is unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, we have one more. Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the consent agenda for finance with the exception of anything a commissioner wishes to pull.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Rafalski, a second by Commissioner Booker. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. That is unanimous. If the rest of the agenda goes that quickly, we'll be out in a minute. But unfortunately, that's not quite how it works. That moves us, though, to item number 32, for which we'll be doing public hearings. Public hearings will be limited to 30 minutes for each opposing side, with 5 minutes allocated to each individual speaker. Comments are to be limited to relevant information regarding your position and should avoid being repetitious. If your group has a spokesperson, please allow that individual to present the group's position in the time allocated, and your cooperation is greatly appreciated. Item number 32 is ZV-24-15, Circle K sign variance. Consider a request for a variance from zoning ordinance section 810.3 to allow an increase in the number of signs and square footage of a total signage allowed. Property is located at 127 Flash Foods Drive, parcel 02-00897, and zoned Freeway Commercial, FC. Karen Dodge, agent for Calford Holdings, LLC, is the owner, and we have with us this evening Ms. Leaf.
Okay. Good evening, Commissioner. Stephanie Leaf, Planning Manager. So this is a zoning variance for a variance from the sign ordinance. And these are the only types of variances that do come directly to the Board of Commissioners. Other types of variances do go to our Board of Appeals, but anything regarding signs does come straight to the Board of Commissioners. That's why you're seeing it this evening. So this is for the existing Circle K. It's at exit 29. And this is the location here. This is the interchange. So Circle K is located here. They are in the process of expanding their site. There was a Crystal restaurant that is no longer there, and so they are expanding kind of further into that property. And it is across the street from the Loves, the Quick Trip, that area. So they are zoned freeway commercial, and so the signs that are allowed in the freeway commercial zoning, there's a maximum of 3 signs total for a site that are allowed, and then the total square footage for signage is only 500 square feet, so that is the total that's allowed on the site amongst those 3 signs. And they are allowed to have 1 freestanding sign, so whether it's on a pylon or a monument, but 1 freestanding sign. And that maximum that's allowed for that freestanding sign is 250 square feet, and the maximum height is 140 feet. And what they're currently proposing, they do have an existing freestanding sign that is much shorter than the 140 feet tall, but they are proposing a second freestanding that is 140 feet in height. And the new freestanding sign is a 512.6 square feet. And I will note this is an update to what is included in your packet. In your packet, the sign, there was an incorrect drawing that had been submitted that showed a over 700 square foot sign for the freestanding. And so it has been corrected, and it is 512.6 square feet instead of the 700 that's in your packet. And the existing freestanding sign is 207.1 square feet. They will be keeping that, and that's their plan, is to keep that, and they will be refacing it. So if this is approved, they would have 2 freestanding signs on the site when they're only allowed to have the one. And just to kind of summarize really what is before you tonight as a variance request, they are looking to exceed the maximum of 500 total square feet of signage on the site. So just with the 2 freestanding signs, that equates to 719.7 square feet. Plus there's existing signage on the property as well. That's wall signage. And then they have, they're gonna be exceeding the 1 freestanding sign. They would have 2 on the site. And then the freestanding sign itself exceeds the maximum square footage allowed for just the freestanding sign. They only allow 250 square feet, and they're proposing 512.6 square feet. So here's some images of what they currently have on the site. This is their existing freestanding sign. And as you can see, that the height isn't shown on here, but there's an image of what it looks like existing. So it's a shorter freestanding sign. They are proposing just some design changes to it. So on the left is what it looks like currently. On the right is what they're proposing, same square footage, just some design changes to the reface. And then this is their proposed freestanding. So it's 140 feet, 512.6 square feet. And so this is design that they're proposing for their second new freestanding. Then this is a site plan that shows the existing signage on the site as well as the proposed. Their existing sign, kind of in the middle of the image here, is right here by their existing storefront. And then, as I noted, this on kind of the left-hand side of the site plan is the existing crystal that's been closed down. This is where they're expanding into, and so the new freestanding is proposed to be on that side of the property. So here's just some images of what it looks like currently with their existing freestanding and their existing store. And this is taken from the frontage road. And then just some photos of what the area around exit 29 looks like. There is that newer Quick Trip that's across the street. They do have the 1 freestanding sign here. Across the street is the Loves, Speedco. So there's several signs here. I counted 4 total freestanding signs on this site between the Loves and the trucking area. And this is actually on the other side of the interchange. So this is the travel stop at this corner, Dungeness, and then across the street, this is the Flying J and Denny's. So they have the 2 freestanding signs here. So, and these are your possible motions, and we do have a representative for the applicant team that is here this evening if you have any questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Lee. Commissioners, before we open the public hearing, are there any comments?
Ms. Lee, they have already 1 existing sign on that property?
Yes, sir, they do. Yeah, and here's an image showing their existing.
Is it the one that we see on the far right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Would they be allowed a sign at the current Crystal location, or are they combining the tax parcels?
So it is showing as a combined parcel, so that's why they are limited to the 1 sign.
All right, Commissioners, any other questions?
Yeah, Ms. Leaf, one of the most recent ones was Quick Trip QT come in there. Did they request a variance when they come in?
So I looked at that and I did not find that there was a variance application for that one. I'm trying to remember the most recent. I know there was a couple years ago, there was a Popeyes that's on New Jessup. They had requested a variance to have a larger square footage for their freestanding sign. I know that had been denied. There was, I think most recently we had a sign variance request for Buc-ee's. That one was approved. And I think that was a total signage or square footage request there. So there's, been different decisions on the signs depending on the locations.
I'm gonna follow up with Commissioner Clark's question. The other sign that was there was a pre-existing sign that the new property owners actually adopted when they bought the property, and so they just refurbished an existing old sign.
They
If I'm
hadn't
saying that
refurbished it
correctly.
yet.
No, I'm talking about the one he was referring to.
Oh, the, at the Quick Trip?
He was
or
asking if
the-
it was a new sign that was put in place. And I don't remember us ever approving, since I've been on the commission, there's some existing older signs that are already in place
Correct.
that are just still freestanding, that are not operational.
That's right, yeah, if there's still the frame and the sign, then there are, yeah, certain situations, if they've,
Okay,
they can be
that's where I was
maintained
going
depending on the scenario there.
Thank you, Ms. Lee.
Commissioners, anything else before we open the public hearing? All right, this is a public hearing for ZV 24-15. Anyone who wishes to speak in opposition, please come forward and state your name for the record. To speak in opposition to ZV-24-15. All right, seeing none, hearing none, we'll close that portion of the hearing. And any who wish to speak in favor, would you come forward, please? State your name for the record, and you would have 5 minutes.
Okay, my name is Cole Posey. I'm with A&S Signs Incorporated. We've been requested to come here on behalf of CIS. And Ms. Lee actually did a great job of going over everything. Mostly I would just be here to answer any other questions that you might have. But as she stated, the biggest reasoning behind them wanting to be able to have the variance is just because of the existing signage on the property is limiting the amount of square footage they can have. The other reasoning behind it is to have the visibility from the interstate for the trucks, which is what they're doing is expanding the station to add truck stops. So they're needing a larger sign to allow for the digits on the pricer unit to be larger, so that it can be seen from further away. And the size that they're wanting those digits to be is at 60 inches, so 5 feet, so that at that height and that distance from the interstate, coming in either direction, you have more visibility. I think coming from the southbound side, there's a tree line there and that curve on the interstate that limits the visibility quite a lot. And then coming from northbound going south, you have a little bit better visibility, and that gives the truckers that are coming through there a little more time to make that decision to get off the interstate to come there. And that's the traffic that they're trying to pull is from the truckers there.
All right, thank you, and you might stand by for questions that will come when we close the hearing.
Absolutely.
All right, and anyone else wishing to speak in favor of ZV 24-15? All right, seeing none, hearing none, we'll close the public hearing, and Commissioners, we're back to you.
I have one. Is the business listed on the signs that are on the signs that as you approach the exit? Is it
Stephanie, could you
businesses
put
listed
the
there?
rendering back up, please?
I think what I was talking
Let me
about,
also-
signs on 95.
DOT sign.
Yeah.
No, the answer to that question is no. It's their Circle K logo. So yes, that is there. And then below that it says truck diesel. There's a logo there that says truck diesel. And then you have your two pricers. And actually the diesel pricer is the side that is facing towards the interstate. Meaning that it's on the side of the interstate rather than being on the opposing side, because like I said, they're expanding it for the truck stop. So that's the traffic that they're mostly trying to draw. So that's where they want the biggest visibility, is for the truckers.
So there's not a sign on the 95 as you approach the,
Oh, you're asking me, is there a current sign on 95? No, there's not.
so this business is not listed.
You meaning as you're coming?
I think what he's asking is there a DOT sign where you come up to the interstate?
Oh,
it'll
I
say-
understand what you're saying.
That's his question.
I believe with the length of time they've been there, yes. When they finish the truck stop, there's not one that says diesel there.
There's no sign that says diesel coming up to them?
From what I've seen, no, but I can't answer that and say 100%.
But there's a sign that says truck stop, right?
There's a sign, there's no truck stop there currently. Not for Circle K. There is a truck stop there, but it's not Circle K. They only have the smaller building with just the gas canopy there for serving smaller vehicles. So they can't fuel, as of right now,
So
they're
that's not
not,
a truck stop area?
not right now. They're in the middle of building, in the middle of,
In that whole area?
oh, you
what
mean in
exit-
the whole
what exit
area?
is
Yeah,
this?
there's two truck stops there.
Three.
Yes.
What
or
exit is
four.
this? That's what I thought.
Exit 29.
So this is a truck stop area,
Yes.
correct?
Correct, yes. I thought you were asking if Circle K had a truck stop there.
No, I mean, people truckers stop for different reasons, but this is if you all are gonna service trucks, which I think is a good business move, because you got 3 other truck stops there.
Absolutely.
I don't think, unless in Circle K has some kind of specialty diesel different than the other people.
It's more so just that the 2 other large truck stops there, they have the opportunity they already both have a high-rise there, and they're both very large high-rises as well. So they already have the opportunity to display their pricing for diesel. So Circle K also would like that same opportunity as
Yeah.
them.
Well, I think there's some pushback from the community, but I'm just trying to, for me to make my decision to support it.
Yeah, absolutely. In that area, it's the interstate interchange area, so it's mostly a commercial area anyway.
Yeah, I live here, so I know
Right.
what it is.
Right.
So,
And I visit Brunswick pretty frequently.
yeah,
So.
that's a truck stop exit.
Yeah,
But anyway.
absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Stephanie, are there any signs out there now that are 140 feet?
Yeah, on the other side anyway.
I would say I'm not exactly sure the height of the Loves, but the very tall Loves one that you can see kind of in the back of this image, that one most likely is close, if not at 140. But that is the only one that has that kind of height on it.
The one across the interstate, what is it, Oasis, that one, and the other, Flying J.
Yeah, the Flying J does not have one. These are the 2 that are Flying J. And then, sorry, this image is a little bit further out, but they have freestanding signs, but not at the 140 feet. They're much lower as well. Like they're probably at, 35, 40 feet or so.
Did any of the other truck stops have more than one sign?
So let's see. So there is one for Flying J and Denny's. They have 2 different signs here. And then the Loves and the other businesses that are around there. I counted about 4 freestanding signs for these businesses that are around the Loves.
And what I was asking, if any one had more than the allowed signs?
Yeah, so they do have more than they allowed. Some of these have been out here for a long time, so I'm not sure when those signs were installed. Quick Trip is our newest addition to this area, so they have the 1 freestanding sign here in front of the Quick Trip.
Do we have any idea how tall Quick Trip is?
I'd have to check our file on that
Less than 100,
to see exactly what that is. I'd say maybe 50 feet or so, but I'd have to confirm the exact height.
All right. Commissioners, any other discussion?
I was actually gonna respond to the TA Travel Center that's on the opposing side of the interstate. It actually also has a high-rise that is of the same height or very similar height to to the Loves that is there. And I have an image of it, I just don't have it on the screen, but I could give it to y'all and let y'all look at it if you want me to.
I think just verbally conveys what we need to know.
Okay. Good deal.
Mr. Chairman, I'm the district for that area commissioner, and I know that there are some tall signs out there, and I don't have a problem with signs. I just think 140 foot is an excessive height for a sign already that's got 5 or 6 truck stops already at that exit now. And it appears to still be growing, but I don't see the need to grant the height one. They showed a smaller one there. I didn't seem to have a problem with that one, but when trucks exit off the interstate, they pretty much can look around and see what's there and what's not there. I don't think they need a 440-foot sign, especially with the neighborhoods that are right in that area as well, with light intrusions and things like that. But that's just me, and I want to try to protect the residents of that area.
I will say that 140 foot is not above what is allotted for that area. That's not, I was just going to say, that's not what the variance is for. The variance is just solely for the square footage size of the total property. That's what we're exceeding the square footage of the total property.
You're asking for a 140-foot height sign.
Right, and I understand that.
That's what I'm referring to.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm just saying that is, the code allows for a 140-foot sign.
But so. It's up to us to decide.
Right, absolutely, I understand that.
Okay.
I was just stating that under the code it's not exceeding what the county's code allows.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Okay.
All right.
So are you able to reveal the cost of the installation of that sign?
I don't have that number with me.
Okay. Well, of course, I live on the opposite side of the county, and the less signs we have, the better we like it. My family been in the sign business, was the first out there on the interstate, billboards and all of that. So I won't be supporting it because technology today is such that any truck or any vehicle going up the interstate can read the competitive price online at any time. It's on your systems, integratable into your nav systems. So, you know, signs, I think, are a thing of the past. I'd like to see you invest in the technology so that any customer or truck coming by, when they hit your zone, your prices would pop up and they can make their decision. That's just my shared thoughts. Thanks.
Commissioners, anything else? Entertain a motion.
Ms. Lee, can you put the motions back on the board? Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I move to deny ZV-24-15.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Tostin, a second by Commissioner Booker to deny ZV-24-15. Any other discussion? All in favor of denying, please raise your right hand. And I'm sorry, that is unanimous. All right, item number 33, CUP-24-7, 101 McKenzie Drive Conditional Use Permit. Consider a request for a conditional use permit for a convenience store and fuel station, automobile service station in the Highway Commercial Zoning District. Property is located at 101 McKenzie Drive and 7015 New Jessup Highway, parcel 03-17641. And John Prinz, agent for Scarpalosis Investments LLC, is the owner. And Ms. Leaf, again to you.
Thank you. So this is a conditional use permit for a automobile service station, which is basically a fuel station in the Highway Commercial Zoning District. So any fuel stations do need a conditional use permit to be in the Highway Commercial. So this property is at the intersection of McKenzie Drive and Highway 341 in kind of the Sterling area. It's across from Satilla Grocery. It's on the road to Sterling Elementary and Jane Macon Middle School. And so they are proposing full access onto Mackenzie Drive as well as full access onto Highway 341. And of course, the 341 access would need GDOT approval before installation. They are showing 26 parking spaces as well as ADA and truck parking. I did confirm with the applicants they are not proposing overnight truck parking at this location. So there would be truck parking for them to get fuel, but there wouldn't be like an overnight truck stop. This is just for the use of the property as an automobile service station. They will in the future come before the Mainland Planning Commission for a site plan for their actual design and building. So this is for the use at this point in time. So this is the property. It is a large parcel that extends kind of north along New Jessup. Where the star is located is right here at the corner of Mackenzie and New Jessup. And so the southern portion is where they're proposing the new Circle K fuel station. And so this is their proposed plan. As I mentioned, they will still have site plan in front of the Mainland Planning Commission, but this shows what their proposal is. Just a little zoomed in version of it. And the Mainland Planning Commission did have a public hearing on this actually last night at a special called meeting, and the vote was 4-0-1. We had 2 commissioners absent and then 1 recused from the application, but they did vote to recommend to the board approval of this application. And these are your possible motions. And we do have a representative for the applicant team that's here this evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Lee. Before we start, I had a question that I posed to Mr. Gentry a few minutes ago. What is it that we have in freeway commercial that doesn't allow for a convenience store? And why are we doing a conditional use permit for something that seems like it'd be logical to be in that zoning?
Right, yeah, the zoning is highway commercial, and I believe it's an older, probably older code language. I'm not sure what concerns there were at the time when the code was put in place, but it does seem like that's a very common thing we see in commercial zoning districts. So I don't know if there were concerns about fuel spillage or impacts, to neighbors because of lights or traffic being there at all hours. I'm not sure what it was, but yeah, it's just been in our code for a long time. So I'll look to see in our current rewrite that we're working on to see how we're treating those now. I don't believe there's still conditional use permits, but I'll confirm that and see if that's something we want to make sure is permitted.
Yeah, I'd asked Mr. Gentry to make sure that, this is something that seems like we shouldn't have to be looking at tonight.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Ms. Leaf. Commissioners, anything before we open the public hearing? All right. This is a public hearing for CUP-24-7101 Mackenzie Drive. Anyone who wishes to speak in opposition, please come forward and state your name for the record. To speak in opposition. Seeing none, hearing none, we're moving right along. They're going to be able to bring the cattle in pretty quick, I think. So we'll close that portion. Anyone to speak in favor, please come forward and state your name for the record.
Hi there, good evening. My name is Sandy Owens, and I'm here representing Circle K, and here in case you have any questions about the project.
All right. Thank you. If you'll take a seat right there, there may be a question. Anyone else to speak in favor of CUP-24-7? Okay, seeing none, hearing none, we'll close the public hearing, and commissioners, we're back to you.
Ms. Lee, what is the sign ordinances involved in this particular, this zoning?
So highway commercial, it is similar signage. We don't allow the 140-foot high sign like we do in the freeway commercial, but there is a total of 500 square feet allowed for the site and 1 freestanding sign, and they can have 3 signs on the property total.
And they would be of what height?
That I would need to verify. I can't remember offhand. It's not the 140. That was just freeway commercial, but I can verify that in the code to see what that height is.
Probably like to start.
They were, with the previous application, you showed a smaller sign and a taller sign. So the smaller sign would be applicable for that location?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
All right. Any other discussion? Entertain a motion?
Can you see the motion back on?
Yes, sir.
Oh, they are? Okay. this, it being in my district, I approve the proposed conditional use permit.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Tosson, a second by Commissioner Clark to approve. Any other discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. That is unanimous. Thank you. Item number 34 is a CUP-24-6. It's 115 Mallory Street conditional use permit. This one and our next one are going to be very similar. Consider a request for a conditional use permit for a combination of residential and commercial use on separate levels, which is a conditional use in the Village Mixed Use zoning district. Property is located at 115 Mallory Street, St. Simons Island, parcel 04-04621, and zone VMU, and Island Preservation Design Overlay District. Charles Day is agent for Charles E. Harris, owner, and Ms. Leaf, you're the star of the show tonight.
Great, thank you. As the chairman said, these next two applications are related to each other. It's the same applicant, and there's also kind of a shared parking arrangement for these as well. So this property is 115 Mallory Street in the Pier Village on St. Simons. And why this is before you all is in the Village Mixed Use Zoning District, we allow a mixed-use building, meaning it could be commercial and residential, as a conditional use. We only allow the residential to be on the second level or above. We don't allow residential on the ground floor. But that kind of configuration requires the conditional use permit. So that is what's before you this evening. There's an existing commercial building that's been vacant for a number of years at 115 Mallory. They are looking to do one residential unit on the second level. They are demolishing the rear of the building. That portion of it has gone through the Islands Planning Commission and gotten approval because demolition of buildings in the village do need design review approval from the Islands Planning Commission. The rear is not a historic part of the building at all. It was a newer addition some years ago, so there was no historic preservation value there. The reason they're demolishing the rear of the building is to establish 8 parking spaces, and they would be accessed from Floyd Street, and the parking would also be shared by the next application before you, which is 121 Mallory Street. And that equates to about two parking spaces per unit, which meets our parking regulations. So here's the village, here is Mallory here, and then 115 is at the end, and it was formerly the Blue Water Grill was the name of it prior, and it's been vacant for some years. And here is just kind of aerial view of the building. As you can see here, it currently does extend all the way to Floyd, and really this whole back portion all the way to the alley is really what's going to be demolished, and that'll be where they put the surface parking, if approved. And so this is on the bottom of part of the screen, this is showing where they would have the parking. They would be kind of pulling into this area and backing out. There's really no way for them to kind of come down this alley the way it's configured.
That's a shame.
And then here is their just their elevations and their floor plan for the one unit. And they would have access to the unit from the staircase on the rear of the building. And then I will note, this was part of the design review that went to the Island Planning Commission as well, but they are showing a pedestrian access through the alley to the other units at 121. So this is their kind of pedestrian gate that they've added through that alley. And again, just some elevations of what this would look like. So the Islands Planning Commission did have a public hearing on this 2 days ago on October 15th, and it was a 5-1 vote to recommend approval to the Board of Commissioners. So we had one commissioner absent and one commissioner opposed. And I will note there was a number of public comments from owners of businesses or representative businesses in the area that were concerned about the conflicts between residential and commercial. So really looking at are there noise complaints from early morning, late kitchen prep activity, music bands, loading trucks, trash trucks, anything that's kind of associated with a commercial business. I think the concern was, with adding more residential units, would that increase the number of noise complaints? and concerns about the commercial activity. So I did check with the police department about kind of, you know, what kind of data we have on noise complaints that we've received in that area. And I did, so for the last few years, in 2022, there were 24 noise complaints that were called in. 2023, there was 26. And then there was an increase in 2024. There were 45 total calls that came in, and they broke down to complaints about business activity, loud music, and then general neighborhood complaints, and then miscellaneous noise complaints was kind of how those broke down in 2024. So these are your possible motions, and I believe Charles Day is here representing the application tonight. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Leaf. Commissioners, any discussion before we open the public hearing?
Yes, sir, please. I had a lot of calls, emails, because this was just at the Island Planning Commission, and people called wondering, and they wanted to look further, that it's already on the meeting here 2 nights later. That's doesn't usually occur. In fact, I'm not sure that it's allowed to occur. You want to weigh in on that, or Mr. Attorney?
Yeah.
I mean, it was just heard, people read about it, you know, basically yesterday, and then my phone lit up. So.
I can comment, and then, you know, Mr. Malcolm can chime in. So you're right, we don't do this very often. We really typically have about a 2-week time period kind of between the Planning Commission and the Board of Commissioners. This particular application actually started going to, not the conditional use permit, but the village preservation, started going to the Island Planning Commission, I think back in June, maybe was when it started. And so because it had already had, you know, 2 meetings with the Island Planning Commission, you know, they have a due diligence period, so they were really wanted to try to move this along to be able to get a decision to know whether they can move forward with the project. So that's really a reason why we had a closer turnaround. In the code, our requirement is that we do have a report that goes from the Planning Commission once they take action to the Board of Commissioners. And I know earlier today I did update the report in the packet, and Rhonda uploaded it to the website that did state what the action was from the Planning Commission going to the Board of Commissioners.
I concur. There's no requirement that there's a certain amount of time in between IPC and Board of Commissioners in your ordinances or state law.
All right, any other comments before we open the public hearing?
I have a quick question. Where is their trash? Where is it gonna be put? The reason I ask that, we got dumpsters behind Strother's that were moved when some apartments come in there. They moved them down there. Where exactly is their garbage will be cans pulled to the curb, so to speak, or can even a truck get down there?
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, that is a good question, and I actually do not know that answer offhand, but Mr. Day can address that if I can defer to him.
Okay.
All right, anything else, Commissioners? All right, this is a public hearing for CUP-24-6, 115 Mallory Street. Those who wish to speak in opposition, please come forward, state your name for the record. You'll have 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. My name is Brad Proctor, Blueprint Construction Council. I'm a lawyer representing a neighbor of this planned variance here. King City Kitchen is the next door neighbor, as you saw in the photo. So I'm here in opposition to this particular plan and this particular conditional use application. And in opposition, I think the most important thing to consider is the actual intent of the Village Mixed Use District. I'll read it to you. The intent of the district is spelled out in 715.1 of the ordinance, and it's to encourage the formulation and continuation of a compatible and economically healthy environment for professional, business, and residential uses which benefit from being located in close proximity to each other, and to discourage any encroachment by uses considered capable of adversely affecting the commercial character of the district. What does that mean? That means that this Village Mixed Use District is specifically to help small businesses like King City Kitchen make money, to benefit both that small business, the neighboring small businesses, and the island as a whole to entertain and ultimately do commerce with both locals and tourists. I think commissioners, in considering this conditional use permit, what you've got to really ask is whether or not this conditional use of adding a couple of condos above these businesses with limited parking, poor egress, which Mr. McDougall will talk about in just a minute, and other factors that will actually help in the commercial nature of the village mixed-use area on which they're planning to put these particular condos. Section 904 of the ordinance calls for what you guys have to consider in issuing any sort of conditional use permit. I'll point out that the village mixed-use ordinance provides a litany of permitted uses. It provides 25 different types of permitted uses, all of which are commercial in nature, and any of those permitted uses would result in me not being here today. They're here today seeking a conditional use, which would be a combination of residential and commercial uses on separate levels. Basically, there's 25 different types of commercial activity that if the application was, hey, we're going to put an antique store as number 1, clothing store number 8, just by way of example, a hardware store number 12, music store 17, any of those types of items, and we wouldn't be here. Frankly, King City, as a neighbor to a business, they're not opposed to vertical expansion. They're just opposed to putting tightly condensed, limited parking, residential structures above and around their business, which is ultimately going to hinder their business when they're trying to ultimately recently start and continue to run, hopefully long into the future, a profitable restaurant business. Back to 904.1, when considering whether or not to grant a conditional use permit, you've got to consider a few things. You've got to consider parking, traffic flow, ingress and egress to the property, and 904.3I, the compatibility with surrounding land use. That means that ordinance, you've got to consider what the compatibility is for these planned condos above these businesses. And as Mr. McDougall will explain, it's not very compatible. In fact, this application has several, I believe this one is 1 unit. The next one that's going to come up in a few minutes is 3 units. They're talking about adding 4 condos above these businesses, cramming in parking in what barely meets any requirements and is ultimately a dangerous condition, with no place to put any garbage. It's going to result in that doorway for access from this parking lot with the owners of these future condos walking through behind businesses, around grease traps, around cleaning kitchens, ultimately in the way of delivery trucks, and in a generally dark alleyway where the only people back there are the folks working and trying to make money for these businesses. It's certainly not compatible with the current use. It's going to result in foot traffic in the back of these businesses down a dark alleyway, so it is in no way, shape, or form going to add people walking in front of these businesses and ultimately going in and spending any money. Ultimately, this plan only makes money one time for the developers of these condos who will then sell them, then resulting in up to 8 cars parked long-term, taking up otherwise usable, profitable spaces. One of the big things that I think you guys should consider in this application, look at how tight that parking lot is. Whoever is pulling in, there's 11 foot 3 inches for those cars to maneuver by each other, go 8 spots in, have to back out. There's no way to turn around. Folks aren't going to like parking there. It's a very difficult parking spot. To back all the way back out there, ultimately the concern is this. If you're faced with pulling in 8 spaces in a tight parking spot like that, and then backing back out, all the way back out every time to get to Floyd Street, ultimately the natural progression is that folks aren't going to park there. They're going to pull around front and take up valuable parking for the businesses in the front on Mallory Street and in the front of King City Kitchen, Zuzu's, and the other commercial spaces. There is currently no method for the county to issue any sort of 2-hour permit. It's not enforced in that area. If somebody were to be staying in these condos and park a car there all week, chances are when they got in their car Monday morning to go home, that car would still be there with no tickets or boots, and they would have taken up valuable customer parking for an entire weekend.
Okay, sir. That's 5.5 minutes.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right. If you would, speaking in opposition, come forward, state your name for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Christopher James McDougal. I am owner with my wife, Catherine McDougal of King City Kitchen. I have a few photos here that I'd like to show you, gentlemen and ladies, of what we're talking about in this alley. Some of us are familiar with this alley, some of us aren't familiar with this alley. We have grease traps. Can I pass these along, Ms. Lee? Thank you. The first one that I would like to show you is the grease traps and the access of the walking where they're wanting to put the stairwell. Right below that, you have a grease trap that's in ground, a 1,500 gallon grease trap. Then you also have a above ground grease trap, which is Zuzu's. Then if we go further on to the next round of pictures, you also have a kitchen mop sink, you have an AC unit, and you also have where we have cleaned up the alley because the county hasn't maintained the alley in quite some time. I also have a picture of a truck that's parked in front of the business. This is 8 o'clock yesterday morning. I went to ask the driver to pull around to the back alley. He stated that there's a vehicle stopped in the alley that he could not back his truck into because there's a vehicle, so he could not make the delivery. I tried to drive around this vehicle and also hit my tail light and busted my tail light on my vehicle, trying to move around this truck that's sitting here parked in a non-alley way where it's supposed to be dropping off. Then I also have photos of the vehicles parked in the alley. And then I have the photo of where they would like to put the walkway from the 8 parking spots as you look at the drawing right out the back side of King City Kitchen, which there is a wall there. That kind of summarizes some of the photos. While you look at those, I would like to speak on behalf of the safety. We have 18-wheelers that are in and out of there constantly. You have delivery drivers of other businesses that are in and out of there constantly. We're bringing foot traffic of these units that have to be accessed through this alleyway to basically an area that does not have foot traffic as it is now. So they're not going to be bringing money into the front of these businesses. So they're not walking in the front. They're going straight to their car and going elsewhere. And also, if you look at these drawings of the next slide you have coming up, the balconies. We're worried about trash and everything that's going to be from these renters, cigarettes, beer bottles, and all of these other miscellaneous uses on top of our roofs. Who's going to be responsible for that? I am, because it's coming off of theirs onto my roof. I'd like to thank you all so much for your time, and y'all have a great night.
All right, thank you. And anyone else to speak in opposition? State your name for the record, please, and you'll have 5 minutes.
Thank you. David Aiken. I'm in opposition. I'm going to assume these new condos are going to be for VRBO, lots of rentals, people coming in and out. So I'm going to assume we're going to have a lot of young mothers with young kids. And if you think 45 was all you got last year, that'll be the first month. They will complain about the noise, the smell, and everything else because King City is currently open for dinner. Not many of the other businesses are, but King City is. So it's kind of what came first, the chicken or the egg. King City is here. Those condos are not. You gentlemen and lady need to consider what's going to happen when those condos are being leased out on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, and whoever their people are that are coming in and renting these, they're going to bring children, and they're going to complain, and you're going to get into arguments back and forth between a business that is established versus a proposed condo, which, by the way, as the attorney said, is not even in for the correct variance. That's our correct. It's just not correct. So what you guys need to think about is how many complaints you're going to have to deal with, or the police are going to have to deal with, because of the condos that are being proposed. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else to speak in opposition? All right, seeing none, hearing none, we'll close that portion. Those who wish to speak in favor, please come forward and state your name for the record. State your name and you'll have 5 minutes, please.
Hey, my name is Jeremy Hennig. I'm an owner-operator of St. Simon's Bait and Tackle. I've worked and lived in the village for most of my life, from Rockets to 4th of May and several other restaurants in the village, actually. I actually lived in the village at 500 Ocean Boulevard. There's 12 apartments above the real estate company and liquor store. And they actually deal with noise all the time from Palm Coast and Mullet Bay, and I'm sure that's probably where most of those complaints came from. But we've seen, we call it blue water, vacant for, a decade now. So it'll be nice to not have that ice at the end of the pier. So we're just looking forward to having something there with lights on and, more money coming down to the village on the commercial side of it. The real estate side, it'll, like I said, it's going to be Airbnb or something like that. So it's going to bring people constantly. So that's just more money for us in the village. And if they'd have families, that's going to be even better because they're going to want to fish. So that's going to help us out a great deal. But yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Anyone else to speak in favor, please come forward, state your name for the record. You'll have 5 minutes.
Hi, my name is David Shrem, and I'm the owner of 4 stores in Mallory Street. Now, if I do a basic math, if a couple spend about $40, okay, on breakfast or lunch or dinner, multiply by 3, it's 120. Multiply, let's say, by 7 days, it's a lot of money. And this is only for 1 apartment that's going to be above. Now, eventually, we're going to have, if you all agree, we're going to have 4 apartments. Multiply all this money by 4. This is money that people are going to spend in my store and his restaurant also. So I don't understand why all this against. We have good architect here, design all these parking spots, the door above, all the walkway, all the garbage can that you guys didn't know where the garbage can. All the dumpster is in 201 in Mallory, behind my store. We have all the dumpsters over there, which is no problem with everybody. But all the money that we're going to lose with the people that are going to come, that we have only 3 months, that really high volume of customer, which is May, June, July, I don't want to lose that business, The rest of the months, I'm just open for my employees. And we open all year round. We're not closing in December, not in January, and not in February, that we're barely doing $100 to $200. And my store is open. We put money from our pocket to support our employee, electric, rent, and etc. So please consider that we don't want to lose money. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone else to speak in favor? Excuse me. Anyone else to speak in favor of CUP-24-6?
Yes, my name is Charles Day, architect and agent for this project. I'll just address some of the comments in opposition now, if that's appropriate for you, or I can wait until comments.
You can comment now.
Okay. As far as trash locations for this, they are not allocated on this site plan, but they will be when construction documents occur if this passes through this step. For the residential unit on 115 Mallory Street, we have trash locations in the southwest corner or space in the lot that we could provide 2 carts for the residential space. The commercial space would still be required to use the shared trash locations within the alley. And we would have to implement that same course of action for the residential units on the alley to use those shared trash space as well, which is consistent with condo rental units that we see on the island. We talk about conditional uses. Yes, residential is a conditional use. It's also important to state here at this point that restaurants are also a conditional use within the mixed-use Pier Village. So I think that should be considered as well. Due to the time lapse between Sandcastle Cafe and King City Kitchen opening, I'm not sure how they were exempt from reapplying for the conditional use, given the time lapse, but it happened. Residential parking is exactly that. As we've provided on the site, we have provided residential parking. This is not a commercial parking situation, and we do comply with the county ordinances for residential parking. It is allowed to pull out onto Floyd Street in a backing allocation for residential use. I would also point out that the 18-wheelers that supposedly come down the alley and that behind the buildings are also either backing in or backing out equal distance into public right-of-way that is more intended for main artery travel. The alleyway is a unique condition. The alley does extend all the way up to Kings Way, and we do have 18-wheelers throughout that entire alley. It's not unique to this particular block. We also have pedestrian traffic throughout that entire alley, through the Strothers parking lot, through ancillary streets where people are parking to go to Mellow Mushroom, walking up the alleyway to get to the front entrance. So I would make the argument that pedestrian traffic in alleyway is consistent with traffic use within the Pier Village. Restaurant spaces along that alleyway are pretty well maintained until you get down to the end of this alley, and this provides us the opportunity to clean up this terminus point for the alley. We're concerned about it being a dark alley. Well, now we have the opportunity to clean it up, remove all the electrical panels that will be removed in the demolition. We have the opportunity to provide a well-lit alleyway that creates a terminus point for that location.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else to speak in favor? Come forward, state your name for the record, and you'll have 5 minutes.
Hello, how are you guys? My name is Gilad Shrem. I'm a part owner of Sababa Holdings, which is currently owner of 121 Mallory Street, where we're proposed to put 3 apartments.
Could you speak a little closer to the mic?
Yes. Is that better?
Close as you can get.
Yes, sir. So what we're proposing is not something out of the ordinary, as Charles mentioned. There's plenty of traffic already, foot traffic through that alley at any given time of the day. And it doesn't seem to affect anybody. We've spoken to the Grease Trap Liberty, and he said it wouldn't affect him to service any of the businesses down there by creating this door opening for deliveries and for the pedestrians to access the stairwell. And if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. Anyone else to speak in favor? All right, seeing none, hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. And Commissioners, we're back to you.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to make a motion to defer, and I would appreciate some time to explain why that is. Where we're at, and I was, of course, have watched the meetings and heard the reports and gotten calls. We're at a juncture where this decision, one way or another, is going to change the context and the future of the Pier Village area. If you would permit, or I can speak it, I would like to show you on Google Earth what we're looking at. And one thing that we all know is, first of all, is there's no parking in the village. And you've been very supportive of creating some additional parking down at Mallory Park there to allow people to have parking, access, and walk to the village. But there is no more space to increase parking in the interior of that village. And we have a lot of two-story buildings in the village. Just starting up at the red light there, you have the Kent Building, which has been there forever. You can just pull it up maybe and get us on the street. You have just down going, so that's at the intersection of, at the red light there. So you have the Kent Building across the street. You have the Mitchell Building. You have the Hodnett Cooper Building there, several stories. So that's just going on the east side. On the west side, as you come down, you know that Iguanas has a bar upstairs. You go down next, across the street, the ice cream shop, Commissioner Hogan, former Commissioner, Representative Hogan's building there is a couple of stories. Yeah, if you go down at just street level, you know, like you were in the car riding, that way you can just start at the, yeah. So even in the existing building, if you, whether we turn down residential or not, that former restaurant, I think, was licensed for 175 people. You've got restaurants there, you've got restaurants there. If you go down, go up the street there, all of these have the ability to be built on top of. The zoning permits that. It's just what would go in there on top of those structures. Keep on going down. Strothers, and going down a little bit there. There you have, hold it right there. You have a two-story building there. That used to be the old drugstore building. You continue on down. Keep on going there. Oops, I'm sorry. Keep on going down. There you have Strothers right there that's been used for offices and so forth, and you have shops below. You have Hogan's building right there. And if you'll turn right across the street, in that vacant lot, Mr. Anschutz has not acted on what was approved before it came on the commission. You have a museum that's, when he pulls the trigger, that's going to go in there, that's 2 stories. You see the building next to the vacant lot there. It used to be Napa Auto Parts. That's retail down below with residents up above it. Keep on going down the street. Yeah. Keep on going. You have the Kent Building there on the corner. A little bit further, sorry. Right on the corner and turn left, you'll see Jepter's building across his bar upstairs. You know, we know what's going to happen on St. Simon's with the passage of time is the pressure to increase density. You hear me say it about short-term rentals. Here is going to continue. You know, traditionally, you talk about if you don't put residences up there, what are you going to have? You're going to have more restaurants and bars. If you go back down the street, you have Brogan's, which also has upstairs. Right next to it is the Half Shell. You can see the buildings there, Half Shell, and keep on coming, take a left there. Office building there. That's three stories before the flood zone effect came in. So I'm just saying that I don't feel comfortable tonight making a decision that's going to set the path either for or against what happens in that village. Residents are a minimum invasive development. with parking, more restaurants, you know, you're going to get more people. People are going to come in here and put the money in because that's what St. Simon's draws. I just don't think it's the moment. I had a lot of people call me, and of course, you know, I think the public wants to weigh in more, but I think as leaders, if we take the vote on this tonight, we're setting forth either whatever we decide or vote against, we're setting forth a precedent that's not been debated about what's going to happen to the future of that village and the character of that village. I just encourage us to back off a little bit. I know these people are pressed hard. I think they have a right to what they've proposed, just as much as my folks over here with the restaurant. I just say, you know, we need to back off and take a second look at what happens to the future of that village. So I just lay it at that, and then y'all can take it wherever you want.
How long would you like to defer?
Well, I would think to our next meeting.
2 weeks?
Yeah, would give, and we would really allow the public to weigh in. What do they want for the future of the village? You already know also, and I'm not saying anything out of school, that we constantly are being asked about water taxi service between St. Simon's and Jekyll, and everybody loves that idea, you know, but, you know, we haven't acted or responded on that because the person hadn't met the criteria with the Coast Guard. But, you know, that's, again, there's a whole minutia of future for this village, and we need to be careful about the way we let it go forth, that's all.
All right, Commissioners.
I'll second Cap's motion.
I don't think he actually made it in the form of a motion.
Oh, yes. I would make a motion that we defer this item to the next commission meeting, whatever that date is.
That's all right.
That'll do it second.
7.
November 7th.
To November 7th.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Fendig, a second by Commissioner Rafalski to defer this item, CUP 24-6, until the November 7th meeting. Any other discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. That is unanimous.
Thank you. That would be the same for 35, is it right?
The difference, Mr. Attorney, if we do not hold the public hearing tonight, would there be time to advertise again for that, or do we hold the public hearing tonight?
3 weeks.
I think, if the board defers it on the record, then the public hearing would then be held, I think, November 7th then.
Right.
And we can do that without re-advertising?
Correct, yeah. You just defer, I believe, is that correct? You defer on the record?
All right, so
We've already had the public hearing on number
34, CUP 24-6.
But not on
5, which is
So we would have
24-5.
We've already had the public hearing on 34, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
So, gentlemen, still haven't heard a motion.
Okay. All right, if everybody was okay with that then, without having the public hearing on that, make a motion for item number 35 to be deferred to the November 7th meeting.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Fendig, a second by Commissioner Rafalski to defer item number 35, CUP-24-5, 121 Mallory Street. Any other discussion?
So how does that affect the next one, 35?
On November 7th, we will hear the public hearing. No, we can vote on both of them, but the public hearing will only be on CUP-24-5.
All right.
Any other discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. That is unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, may I have one more point of privilege? just want to say to our community and for the record that the future of the St. Simon's Village is reached that point now where these decisions will affect the pathway and the course for the next 20 years. Investments need to be made, decisions need to be made, and we need to be careful about what we choose for that fragile little village. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Item number 36 this evening is to approve the real and personal property corrections and exemptions as recommended by the Board of Assessors and the Chief Appraiser at their Thursday, September 19, 2024 meeting, with clarification that this does not approve a tax refund.
Mr. Chairman, I am going to recuse myself from this because I am part of it.
All right.
I'm Sean Chapman. I'm the real property supervisor, just representing the POA today. If y'all have any questions concerning any information on that, I'm glad to answer.
All right. Can we get an update on this, Mr. Attorney?
So this was simply deferred from the Finance Committee meeting because Commissioner Rafalso recused himself, and so it wouldn't be on consent. That's the only reason it was not on your consent agenda for tonight. So y'all can vote on it independently of Commissioner Rafalski. But otherwise, this is a fairly standard approval for your consideration.
All right. Do we have anybody making a report on this?
No, sir, unless, yeah, no, sir.
All right. Commissioners, do I entertain a motion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I'll make a motion to approve the real and personal property corrections and exemptions as recommended by the Board of Assessors and the Chief Appraiser at their Thursday, September 19th, 2024 meeting, with clarification that this does not approve a tax refund.
Second. All right, I have a motion by Commissioner Fendig, a second by Commissioner Sweat. Any discussion on the matter? All in favor, please raise your right hand. That is 6-4 with Commissioner Rafalski recusing. Item number 37 is to consider authorizing a letter to be sent to the Georgia Department of Transportation in support of its recommendations for improvements to the intersection of U.S. Highway 82 at Ratcliffe and Myers Hill Road.
Motion to approve.
Well, Mr. Chairman, this is we discussed this at the last meeting, that we would ask GDOT for a resolution, and I requested that the county attorney, Mr. Montford, prepare that motion that we would send off to GDOT. And at this point, I'd like to hear from our county attorney.
Yeah. I'll withdraw my motion. Sorry, I didn't mean to step in there.
Certainly, Commissioners. And so at your last meeting, I was requested to draft a resolution, and we did prepare that. In the time since that last board meeting, we have found out that GDOT has already been working on a study of that exact intersection. They have come back with a recommendation, and they're asking for the county commission, if you are in favor of that proposal, to send a letter of support to them saying that you would like for them to go ahead and proceed with that, with those improvements. And so before you tonight is not the actual resolution asking them for a study, it's the letter in support of their recommendation, now that we have knowledge that they have done the study.
Thank you, Mr. Mumford. Discussion, Commissioner?
Yeah, what was their recommendation for improvements?
I can describe it, but I'll let our county engineer describe it better than I can.
Yeah, it was the ARC.
Okay, yeah.
Good evening, Commissioners. Jason Hartman, Engineering Director and County Engineer. The GDOT did the study back in April. They did counts up there. The study was completed in August of the draft study that they did. Basically, they're proposing what is called an RCUT. RCUT stands for Reduced Conflict U-Turn Intersection. I've seen these up in Virginia, and also here in Georgia. GDOT has about 55 of these in place throughout the state. They basically allow through movements to occur along the main road, which would be Highway 520 or 82 out there. It would restrict or reduce the conflict points off of Myers Hill Road and Radcliffe Road to allow to do a right in, right out, go to a U-turn and avoid this intersection that has become an issue out here. So basically, GDOT, we had a meeting with them, and this is their proposal. And they can, basically, if we get this letter signed back to them, they can implement this potentially in the next year, the next fiscal year, if this project does not affect any right-of-way, which it doesn't look like it will. So they will implement this, design it in-house up in Jessup, and put it out to a contractor and build this R-cut at this intersection, which basically just puts additional concrete median there to restrict lefts from coming out of Radcliffe and Myers Hill Road.
So what you're saying, what I'm understanding is if you're coming out of Ratcliffe Road to 82 and you want to turn left to go to Brunswick, per se, you actually have to turn right and go down and make a U-turn and come back down, and that was GDOT's recommendation?
Yes, sir. They looked at a roundabout there. Obviously, you've got a 4-lane. It'd be hard to really do a roundabout there with the amount of area you would need to take, so the roundabout was not the favorite option. This R-cut, they would have to do a U-turn, but potentially in this area, you could also potentially go to the Emmanuel Church Road that's within that subdivision, come out there and avoid the Radcliffe Road intersection altogether would be a potential option to get, like you're saying, back to Brunswick towards the Winn-Dixie in the 95 area. That could be a potential way to get around this potential intersection. So that could be a perk to this, to get this in place.
So what about the people on Myers Hill?
What's that, Mr. Booker?
On Myers Hill?
Yeah, the Myers Hill,
There's no other way but going.
it's a little more favorable because of Myers Hills. I used to live off exit 29, and I would take Myers Hill to work, and basically you can take a right. You wouldn't be able to take a left across the intersection to go towards like Brantley County, but you would be able to take the right. The only thing you couldn't access from Myers Hill Road is the new Dollar General market that's across the street, and potentially, you know, if I was going out of there, I'd just go to the Winn-Dixie myself if I still live there. I moved over the summer here, but that would be the only impact is you could take a right, get back to town off Myers Hill, but potentially the Radcliffe people would need to kind of go towards Emmanuel Church Road to get out of there unless they want to do the U-turn.
So what you're saying is people coming out of Myers Hill Road would have to turn right, go all the way down to Emmanuel Church Road, which is probably a good half mile or more, to make a turn to come back to go to Brantley County or go west.
That's correct, sir.
That doesn't even seem acceptable.
Yeah, that is, and I want to speak for Mr. Toston, Commissioner Toston, but when we met last 2 weeks ago, we were going to put a proclamation for him to put everything on the table, and now we got this R-cut, which basically is going to make everybody that lives on Ratcliffe, Silver Bluff, all those areas, there's other neighborhoods, when they want to go to town, they got to come out, make a right, go down to Livingston, put their life in danger to make a U-turn on 82 on a hill to come back to town. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. And I mean, I know GDOT ain't gonna like that, but this is, I'm sorry.
Oh.
You've got, hold on, let me finish.
Go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
You got up there in Dublin, Georgia, 441. Many of us have traveled it to Athens. You got 3 or 4 red lights out there in the middle of nowhere.
I just went there, and you were correct.
Well, I'd like to maybe speak.
And I am not done.
I'm sorry,
okay?
sir. I
Yeah.
apologize.
Let me finish,
Yes,
because
sir.
I'm hot.
Go ahead. Take all the time you need, sir.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Listen, Commissioner Tosson, again, and I don't want to speak for him, we were under, everything would be on the table. Red lights, R-cut, roundabout, overpass, whatever. You know, this is like they're just trying to, you know, pull a fast one, so to speak. Maybe not, I don't know, I'm wrong. Y'all can chastise me later, but this is nonsense. Now people that want to go get a loaf of bread that live on Myers Hill Road have got to go all the way down to Marches of Glynn Baptist Church, turn across the flow of traffic heading west on 82, go down in front of my house, come all the way back up on Myers Hill Road to come in the backside of a neighborhood to get to the Dollar General. Then they got to come back out and go all the way back out, get back on 82. This is, I'm sorry, commissioners, but this is nuts.
Okay.
And I'm done. Y'all didn't hit my nerve, but anyway.
We wonder how you really feel about it, Mr. Clark.
Mr. Chairman, we asked for a proclamation to study this, and I know the county attorney prepared one. Could we still move forward with the proclamation, send it back to GDOT and say, you know, this is, we would like you to revisit this. We'd like for you to, you know, look at several other options other than the one that y'all had proposed back, what was that, 2018, did you say?
No, they just proposed this a couple of months ago. And to clarify, they looked at all options. They looked at, does this merit a traffic light? I think, Mr. Clark, you had sent some correspondence to Mr. Gentry earlier today about the importance of trying to get a traffic light out there. They have to go through a different set of what's called warrants analysis to see if a traffic light is merited there. They study, there's seven different warrants that they go through, and this intersection did not merit a traffic light at this location. That was the first thing they look at. And then what GDOT also does, as we've done through our other projects, and basically they look at what's called an intersection study to look at innovative intersections to do, which includes roundabouts, these R-cuts. That was analyzed, and then also like I said, the use of a signal, the intersection analysis, and there was one other thing that I thought they did, but they provided this all in a study. This study's over 100 pages. The only that we can ask them to go back and look at it again, but I'm afraid that the impacts from just the development of the Dollar General market there will not really increase or change the traffic counts that are already out there. And basically, I'm not saying for or against, but basically, we'll be put back in GDOT's queue of when will this study occur. They have a big queue of projects that they're going to get to, and this could be one that we could potentially get fixed within the next fiscal year. Like I said, I'm not for or against or trying to say anything. I just wanted to tell you, Mr. Clark, that was the first thing they look at. Another selling point for this thing is at a four-way intersection, you have 36 potential crash points, collision points. And with the roundabouts that we've implemented, that we're implementing now in the mainland at Glencoe and multiple spots on the island, you decrease those intersection points down to like 16 potential points of collisions. And with this particular project, the R-cut also provides that. So you're eliminating that safety factor. Even if you put a light in, you still have the four-way intersection, you still have those 36 potential conflict points of a crash. So these innovative intersections that the Department of Transportation throughout the U.S. came up with have looked at ways to increase safety. And in Virginia, when I worked up there, they were opposed to some of this stuff back in 2017, but they have been implemented up there. Like I said, they've been implemented in Georgia. I just want to share with you that the safety factor on that, and that I feel like they have looked at a lot of avenues here, and I feel like if maybe the warrants did allow for that signal, then that would be put in and chosen. But unfortunately, I don't think that the Dollar General being put there is going to change the study much at all, but that's just my thoughts.
Jason,
yes, sir.
Jason, excuse me. Could Danny or somebody put up an R-cut on the board? Because
I have some handouts if I could hand. As we talked about this, I can give you guys.
From what I'm looking at, you don't have to go down to another road. you have to maybe travel 200 feet, and then there's a U-turn.
There's a new U-turn put in for that, Jason? Is that?
Unfortunately, as Mr. Clark stated, the GDOT does want us to go down a mile or half a mile in each direction. The ones I have seen implemented, you don't have that much distance that you want to put, because you want to turn quickly and get turned around. You don't want to do the mile turnaround, but they're wanting to use existing roads to help this situation in a quick manner. If you would put additional cuts, then that could potentially change the nature of the project and what they're willing to do. But that's the nature, is you want to try to turn around as quick as possible, create new intersections if you can. Look at, if you hit a curve in the road, you want to put those intersections in before you get into the curvature. But you look at that type of application.
And Jason, what that does then, to me, is take away the effectiveness of what they say they're trying to do. And to Commissioner Clark's point, it wouldn't be used. And that would drive people down to a manual church road, and it's going to increase the traffic flow down there tremendously, because people are going to avoid this. So I think what we are, I mean, you are representing what GDOT has told you, and personal experience working with it in Virginia, and we understand that. But I think for the purpose of what we're trying to do is determine tonight if we're going to ask them to proceed with that, or submit another document asking for consideration, understanding if we do that, it's going to take us out of the queue for next year and be further down. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page in what we're talking about. But Mr. Attorney, you have that document, do you not?
I do, Mr. Chairman, and we have it pulled up. So I will quickly go through what we had, what I prepared originally.
Aaron, excuse me, but I rode 441 recently to Highlands, and what Commissioner Clark says, there are places on 441 where there's an intersection, but you don't see the first house or the first building, but there's a red light there. So, you know, I understand them denying, but I think we should push harder, because there's already been one person killed there. And I know, you know, wrecks are wrecks. They're accidents because they're not on purposes. But
And I'd like to add to that too, and I think maybe you should use that as a reference point for our argument, where you just were. But we've got, I know it's a GDOT highway, I understand that, but
so is
we have 2 county roads that come into that road. And I feel like we should have some say-so in what we feel should be done there. And that's where we are on this. That's why we have the proclamation. We asked the county attorney to prepare. And if we're not agreeing to what GDOT is proposing, we should have some alternatives to that. And I guess that's where, Mr. Mumford, you should come in. What are our alternatives if we're in a stalemate with GDOT over what should or could be a better improvement at that intersection?
So I think in terms of what we can do tonight, I think so we can adapt. If the board is not inclined to send a letter in support of that R-cut proposal, what the board has as an option alternatively is to take a form of the resolution that I prepared, which again was originally to ask them to do a study. So instead of asking them to do this study, which they've already done, it would be to take this existing one, which expresses concerns and why the board has concerns over it, and asking them to reevaluate their recommendation. But it wouldn't change much. So Rhonda, if you can continue to scroll down to the, perfect, thank you. So here are the 2 action items that you would have otherwise asked them to do, but for the fact they'd already done the study. So we would just change that paragraph, the first paragraph. Instead of requesting them to do a study, we'd ask them to either conduct another study, or alternatively to reconsider alternative improvements in lieu of the R-cut.
Well, if that's the case, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we modify this proclamation, thank you, to fit that wording, and then we come back at the next meeting and vote and present that proclamation.
Let me ask this, is it possible, we've got executive session, is it possible that Rhonda could possibly change the verbiage on this and we could vote on it when we come back from executive session tonight?
Certainly.
Okay, that's even better.
Is that good? So, proper action for the moment is we table this for the moment. We'll go into executive session. When we come back out, we'll resume, pick up this matter, and look at the revised language and vote on it.
Correct.
All right.
Need to make a motion to table it, or?
Yes.
Would, Mr. President, do you have anything you'd like?
Yes, sir. I was just going to add just a point of clarification. So GDOT did the study. They had met with us. This was their solution. And their solution was it was the quickest impact improvement. So it did not include right-of-way acquisition. They've got funding in this fiscal budget. And so they felt that if we agreed with this avenue, that this is something that they could accomplish quickly. So the action item that they requested is, do we support it or do we not support it? So we have not gotten to the stage where we said, we don't support this action. So I don't want you to feel that, and they might, but I don't want you to feel that GDOT has stood their ground and said, this is the only improvement they'll do. This is the one that they proposed because it's the most timeliness, and they're asking if we supported it or not. So I believe what the county attorney has expressed will probably solve it, but I just wanted to, clarify that.
So that was their quick fix?
That was their quick fix because they've got money in the budget now and they can move forward and do it now.
And I would be in agreement to do a quick fix as a temporary measure if it wasn't going so far down to do the U-turns, because I think that's going to make it totally ineffective and useless, whatever money is spent, and that's my feeling.
Well, if they do a quick fix, could it be revisited with another study at a later date, and maybe fix it really right?
I think the quick fix is they see the concern with the safety there, and this is what they think they can implement with the money that could be used now. A lot of the state projects take 5 to 6 years to implement a GDOT or a VDOT project. So like Resin was saying, if they have to impact right away or change configurations out there, then this could turn into an actual GDOT project like we see the bridge widening or these other projects that are GDOT projects. So basically that's what they said. If we want to keep it simple, address the safety right now, this is our best bet. Otherwise, this may turn into a bigger GDOT project that is 5 or 6 years down the road. So I don't think a study is going to create, this is going to be another program project that they put into effect that could take us many years to get to. So this is their way to not.
I think what this commission wants is a permanent solution.
Yes, sir. So I'm just stating what they've stated to me in the meeting. Like I said, I'm not for or against it.
And I realize, Mr. Hartman, you're just conveying information.
Yes, sir.
Not stating a position.
So why did they say that they couldn't do the shorter turnaround? They don't have money in the budget to do that, or? I mean, I understand
it may exceed their budget because really this is just creating some concrete medians and allowing, as I said, you'll still be able to make a left turn into the Dollar General Market coming from Brantley County. You can still make the left turn in from the main road, but not Myers Hill or Radcliffe Road, and coming from Brunswick going towards Brantley County, the left turns can still be made into that median, but not just right in, right outs from the minor roads, as I stated. So that it may exceed they said something about they have $500,000 to $600,000 to devote to this, and doing those additional designs, as you guys have seen from our other construction projects, how much things cost nowadays. It may increase the cost to the point where that doesn't fall within their safety funds that they can use, and that's basically, that would be my thought on it probably.
I was able to get them to extend the right-hand turn lane at the Sam Center off the spur with the money that they had in-house. They have pocket money they can do small projects with, and I guess, bad term, but that's basically what they could do with that. And but motion to table?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, motion to table item number 37.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Rafalski, a second by Commissioner Clark to table item number 37. Mr. Attorney, we do have calls for executive session tonight for the matters of
Personnel.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't vote on that. All in favor of table? That is unanimous. Thank you, Commissioner Booker.
Mr. Chairman, the matters of personnel, potential litigation, and property acquisition.
So moved.
So, have a motion by Commissioner Rafalski to go into executive,
Second.
second by Commissioner Clark for the matters of personnel, real estate, and litigation. All in favor, please raise your right hand. We'll be back in a little while. Entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved.
Have a motion by Commissioner Booker, a motion by Commissioner Booker, a second by Commissioner Rafalski.
Mr. Chairman, on the resolution to the,
We need that vote.
Oh, yeah, keep reminding me of that. All in favor of coming out of executive session, raise your right hand. My teeth are chattering, but that's all right.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, on the motion to send resolution to the DOT, I think we might be better off to ask them to do a traditional R-cut that would reduce the amount of time that you have to go to make the left-hand turn.
Sounds good to me.
So we're considering accepting their recommendation with the caveat that they put in a full R-cut then with the short distance U-turn. Is that what everybody's saying? Yeah. All right. So Commissioner Rafalski, you made that in the form of a motion?
Yeah.
Do I hear a second? Have a second by Commissioner Booker. Any other discussion? Bo, you got nothing else to say about it?
Nothing else.
All right, sir. Thank you.
All in favor?
All in favor. Raise your right hand, please. Guess we're getting giddy at this point. I apologize.
Mr. Chairman, I move the Board of Commissioners approve the executive session minutes from the following executive sessions: September 9th, 2024, and September 17th, 2024.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Rafalski, a second by Commissioner Booker.
Commissioners, that's September 5th. September 5th.
I can't understand you.
September.
Is that a 5? It looks like
That's
a
a
9.
5.
I'm sorry.
That's a September 5.
I'm sorry.
So
Looks like a 9, don't it?
it does. So we have a motion by Commissioner Rafalski, a second by Commissioner Booker to approve the executive session minutes of September 17th and September the 5th. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. That is unanimous.
You want to do the other one?
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Board of Commissioners approve the recommendations of the county attorney regarding potential litigation and property acquisition matters.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Rafalski, a second by Commissioner Booker to approve the attorney's recommendation on possible litigation and property matters. Did I read that right?
Yes, perfect.
Discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. That is unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Rafalski, a second by Commissioner Clark to adjourn. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. We stand adjourned. Thank you and good night.